Washington Irving. Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, eating some good food. I'm really hoping this works the first time. Oh, it kind of did. Okay. Almost. All right, this should be perfect now, right? Gotta do this, and then we're good. Okay, so, yeah, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're all doing well, staying safe, eating some good food. Today we are interviewing Brom. He's double-checking microphone settings real quick, so we're making sure that's all fine and dandy. But how's everybody doing today? How we doing? What's up? I'm really excited because, so Brom, I've known a little bit about Brom previously. I met him through Dakota, which is awesome. But I also have had his product from one of the businesses that he owns. So I'm really excited to see, kind of like I get to pick his brain. I mean, that's the whole point of the interview, is picking his brain and like kind of figuring out what it's gonna be all about. So very excited. Double check this. All right, cool. So he's double checking microphones real quick. So give him just a second here. I'm excited. I've got all the questions laid out, and I think it's gonna be one heck of an interview. I'm excited, especially because I'm a lot younger than him, and he's got a lot of like business insight that I never learned about. Especially because I went to school for communication and not business specifically. But I've got a couple good questions in here. Yeah, how we doing, guys? What's up? B, and then we got Brahman here too. Sorry, double checking. Okay. Give him just a second here. But yeah, so this morning's basically just been spent, a lot of it was actually running around. I did a lot of laundry, cleaned up my room. I've been trying to figure out where I want stuff on my desk to go. And then I might start cleaning up these shelves over here because they're kind of just in the way. They're books and stuff, and I haven't read them in a hot minute. So I want to see if I can put them either in my room or wherever it may be.
All right, we'll find out. So this is this microphone right
So this one's a lot quieter. Hang on. See if turning you help bugs. Try again.
Is it made a difference? So input device would be Rode Procaster.
Yep, you're good.
You hear this?
Yes. That's why I
Does it sound better?
Oh, I think it sounds a little bit better. Trying to balance audio we should be good to go. Nice. All right. Yeah, so thank you, Brom. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I wanted to kick this off super easy. Just tell me a bit about yourself.
All right. So this microphone good. You hear me good? Everything's
Sounds beautiful,
good?
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit about myself. Let's see. I am born and raised in Panama City, Florida. I went to the University of Florida and got my electrical engineering degree. After I finished my electrical engineering degree, I joined the military and did nuclear power on submarines, and I was stationed outside of Seattle, Washington. And that's where I met my now wife on Tinder. And we dated for about 3 months, and then I convinced her to move to Houston, Texas with me. And so she made the move with me. And, we got engaged about a year later and then married 18 months later. And now we've been married for 5 years, and we have a daughter who's 14 months old. And we moved back to Panama City, Florida in 2018 after we quit our jobs and went full-time social media. So
it's a lot to unpack. So you've had a very, very eventful life then. Wow. And you're 35, 36?
Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Nice.
I know. I describe a lot of the stuff that I've done, and people are like, "How old are you?" And I'm like, "I'm 35." And they're like, "I feel like you should be older with everything that you've just described." So,
well, I've noticed that I had Mickey Wolf on the last podcast. I think she's 38. You guys both don't look like you're in your 30s. You look very good for 30s. I don't know if that's my generation because I have gray hair or what, but you look very good for your age. So I don't know.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah.
There's something I missed in that step. I'm only 22 and I'm already looking older than you. But so just kind of backing up for the business. Like, where did you start Fat and Weird Cookie? Where did you get the name? Like, how did that come up with?
Yeah. So Fat and Weird. So in April of 2018, my wife decided, at that time, she probably had around 100,000 followers on Instagram. So enough that you could ask for something and people would do it. And she was like, hey, everyone send cookies to Brad for his birthday. And so she gave like our PO box that we had in Houston because, people would send us stuff. So she gave our PO box. And for my birthday, we had like over 1,000 cookies sent to our place. and they were from like all over the world, like literally Japan, Amsterdam, Canada, obviously a lot from the US, and they were everything from like gourmet cookie companies, local bakeries to like homemade cookies.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to try every single cookie. I'm not now. If you sent me a dozen of the same cookie, I did not eat the whole dozen. However, I tried every single type of cookie that was sent to me. And I was like, man, I feel like there's this like niche cookie market that's missing where like you make gourmet cookies that were classically executed, like some of the great bakeries in New York City. Like you may have heard of Levain Bakery in New York City. They do like a great classic chocolate chip walnut cookie. It's like this big 5-ounce, cookie. And I was like, but they do like, it'd be cool if they did like better ideas than like, oh, let's just throw like an entire Snickers bar in a cookie, right? Instead of like throwing a whole Snickers bar in a cookie, like why isn't anyone making a Snickers cookie, like a chocolate cookie with peanuts and caramel bits and, like chopped up Snickers bars inside?
Yeah.
So it's like, I wanted to, and I was like, why don't we just start a cookie company that like takes these flavor ideas and instead of like, and then it kind of like makes a whole cohesive cookie behind the flavor idea, you know?
Right.
Because I mean, it's easy to like love a cookie that like someone walked down the candy aisle and like threw M&Ms and Heath Bits and chocolate chips, and they're like, of course it's gonna be good, but like let's make cookies that are different in the fact of like this has like a flavor profile, and we're trying to capture like something else, like a cosmic brownie in a cookie,
Well, so then I'm curious about how much of the taste testing do you do now? Like I know that you own the business, but like how much of it's all you?
Yeah. So on Twitch, I guess this is kind of where Twitch comes into play for us is on Monday and Wednesdays. We do a just chatting on Twitch just for an hour from 7 to 8 Central. Okay. And on Mondays, we try 2 new flavors that we're like testing out. So like this last Monday, we tried a Snickers cookie. That's why I brought that one up. And then we tried a Biscoff cinnamon roll cookie.
Oh, that one sounds really good.
Yeah, so we tried both those flavors, and then on Wednesday we try the flavors that are launching that Sunday for people to see on Twitch. So like this, yesterday was Wednesday, so we tried. We're launching a flavor called Just Peachy, so it's like a peaches and cream cookie. So it's like this peach flavored dough, and it's got golden Oreos and white chocolate chips, and it's really great. And then we also we have a cookie called Thick Mint. It's a play on Thin Mint, making fun of. So, but it's like it's a mint chocolate chip cookie. We do we have like mint sprinkles that go on top, and then it has like a cookies and cream mint core, and it's like a Oreo flavored dough. So yeah, I try a lot of cookies still.
See, okay, so like, how do you? What's your thought process when you first started building these, right? Because you wanted to have like the center be some type of candy or other type of
core of
like a core of it, right? So like, was your whole concept just putting like that type of candy in the middle? Because I've seen cookies with like the donut in the middle, like that was a very early concept, I think. That was the one that I saw. But like, the concept of putting candy bars inside of it's something that's never been done before,
Yeah, like, there's not a lot of people that did like stuffed cookies like us. Yeah. And for me, the biggest hurdle was like, how do I make a cookie that's unique and has a lot of flavor that I can either maintain the moisture through a shipping process,
right?
So that's one thing. And 2, like, I'll bring up this Crumble is another cookie company that people are very well versed on, but they went the franchise route rather than e-commerce route because they top their cookies and you can't ship those.
Oh,
so that's why I decided to put everything on the inside is because like if you top it, you can't ship it. Like it's gonna rub off in the package. It's gonna melt. It's gonna go all over the place. And so we were like, hey, we should stuff our cookies. And that's kind of where the thought process came behind that is like, how do we e-commerce proof this idea?
Do they have they adapted to that to like have the ones that are shipped inside? Like, cause I'm assuming like the way that they're topping it, right? That's like you go to a restaurant and like, or the cookie place in store and you get it on top, right?
Right.
Did they change their concept because of you guys or anything? Has anybody tried to copy you since then?
No. They've just blown up on the retail franchise side. So they've like opened like 400 locations. So
right.
The Crumble is like huge, and one day I hope to be as big as they are. But they just they went a different route.
Right.
And so, but the beautiful part about us is if we do franchise. If you ever ate at a Fat and Weird location and you went home and there wasn't one near you, you could order the exact same cookie that you had in store and have it delivered to you. So I think that's kind of where hopefully as we start to franchise and grow, like one of the benefits that we have.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things that just takes time. You still got so many years left. You've got so many times to learn and understand the business better. You just keep getting better and better at it.
Yeah. I actually fly down in 2 weeks to South Florida to meet with a franchise group. So
Oh, you're gonna open up one in South Florida then too? That's the goal.
no, that's just where the franchise group is located. I'm trying to open our first one in Houston just because we lived there for 3 years. We have a large social media following presence still in Houston.
Right.
And we know the area well. It's a very densely populated area, so you have millions of people. So there's a good chance of success, based on the fact that we have a very good profitable store here in Panama City, and it's the pool of people to pick from is like 140,000, where you go to Houston and it's literally like 12 million. So it's like 100 to 1 ratio.
Exactly.
So you have to think if a store is doing okay here, it's going to do well in Houston.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. What was the startup financially? Like, how did you guys, and the idea was there. What did it take to get the money there? Was it a couple years of saving? Was it a small loan?
No, it was really cheap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I think that's why you probably see, like, I personally, maybe you don't see it just because I follow Fat and Weird and cookie company stuff. I see a lot of cookie companies on social media because the barrier entry is so low. I think it probably started Fat and Weird with under $2,000.
Wow.
Because it was really about building a website. We found a commercial kitchen that was it's kind of like a shared kitchen. It's called a kitchen incubator, where you just like rented time in the kitchen, so you didn't even have to rent the whole kitchen. Like everyone kind of shared the kitchen. You just kind of blocked off the time.
A couple hours a day, yeah.
Yeah, and so all you needed was a few hours a day. They charged you $17 per hour to like rent time in there, so not very expensive. And so for us, it was really $2,000 between building your website, the first batch of ingredients, the food permit and everything, like $2,000, and that's how it started. So
see, that's incredible. Like for me, I keep thinking these big corporations, these big franchises, like it's a ton of money to get to that point, but actually starting it's a lot cheaper than you think. That's really interesting to me.
And I'd say that over the course of the 4 years, we've probably done over $10 million in revenue. So from $2,000 to revenue $10 million. Obviously, it's not profit, but no, it's pretty great.
That's one of the things people forget about is profit and net profit are very different, and some people forget about that when it comes to business. But you mentioned that streaming on Twitch, right? So what got you into Twitch? How did you find it? Was it because of video games, or was it like somebody on Instagram on your social media recommended Twitch, like the live streaming spot, or?
Yeah, so like during COVID, we started doing a lot more Instagram lives with people, just because I don't know. I feel like people got really lonely during COVID. Like I said, we already had a big social media following. I think probably like that time 2 years ago, I probably had like around 60,000 followers, and my wife probably had somewhere around like 350-ish thousand followers. So we pretty big pool. So we'd go live on her Instagram lives, and we'd like eat dinner with people and like hang out, and we joked that it was like a social hour for people. We'd do it like twice a week.
Right.
For Thanksgiving, we'd do it because like people weren't going home for Thanksgiving. But it got really hard to like have conversations with people because like you're on like an iPhone screen. So you have like
it's
this
super
much
tiny, right? Yeah.
Right. And the comments would be moving so fast, and like you really wanted to be able to turn it sideways, but you couldn't because
the
it would
chat
mess
goes away, right? If you turn it sideways,
Yeah, it just gets weird. So someone was like, y'all should just do Twitch. And I was like, okay. So I researched Twitch, and we already have the nice cameras and stuff because we do YouTube, and the part of our social media is, you've always had to have nice cameras for photos and videos and all that stuff. So, we already had a really nice camera, as you can see from this.
You look better than I do. Damn.
and then, at the same time, we were like, okay, I can just order a couple microphones, and we can just have this little Twitch set up, and we'll just turn it into this like just chatting thing. So like, we don't have as many viewers as we had during COVID, but like we'd have like 250, 300 people come to our just chattings. And we actually did our gender reveal when we found out we were pregnant on Twitch, and we had 6,000 people, and it was crazy. Like chat was moving super fast, and I was like, whoa, this is insane. So yeah, that's Twitch has been a way for us to like connect deeper with our audience, or I tell people like, my wife's DMs, now that she has like over 500,000 followers, is like, it's a black hole. Like she can't answer them all. People respond to stories, people ask questions, and she just can't see them. But I say, hey, if you ever have a question for Aubrey, you want answered, come to Twitch, because we usually only have about 100 people come to the Twitch. Every single question that gets asked in the Twitch stream, we answer,
right.
And we talk with people. And like I said, we just kind of eat dinner and vibe out.
Yeah, that's a good way to run it too. especially because just chatting has been a very common thing, especially since when the pandemic hit. That loneliness, I almost account it to one, Twitch's growth, two, because Warzone got so popular, and then three, they created just chatting and like pools and hot tubs and just kind of like relaxing things to make you feel like you're interacting with that person, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I would even account a lot of the reason. I don't know if what year did you start on Twitch? Was it like when the pandemic hit?
Yeah,
Then?
I mean, we have a couple of people that are sub to our channel that have just now hit their like 2-year mark. So I think about 2 years ago.
Yeah, so about when the pandemic hit, yeah.
Yeah, I would say like probably a couple months into the pandemic is when we started doing it, because we had done IG first, and then that's when we realized it wasn't working for us, and we went over to Twitch.
Right.
So that's kind of, and I've always been that way too. Like you were mentioning, like I was the kid that I didn't play video games unless I was playing with my friends. Like I was never the kid that went home and like even Warzone, like I don't like play solos. Like I'm just not interested in that. Like the only reason I like to play is the camaraderie aspect of it, is like to hang out and vibe with my friends.
Exactly.
So for me, if I'm not playing with friends, I'd rather watch people and hang out with them.
You get that same kind of interaction. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the biggest things, is that when people tell you about like relaxing and what do you call it? Relaxing and just like losing that connection with people across the world, Twitch kind of felt like that niche for me. Like even though I went to school online and I had my ex-girlfriend at the time, but like now it's more of like there's just a family here, you know? Yeah, it's friends. Yeah, we're playing games, but like you talk to these people on a daily basis. You get to know them. You know about their siblings, their life, their past relationships, mental health issues. It becomes a family. It's kind of incredible. And I think people forget about that when it comes to video games, rotting your brain and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, for me, this is a more immersive, like watching basketball or golf or anything else that's like a live game, right? And it becomes that connection with Twitch chat. And I don't know. Some people,
well, it's just you play Warzone, right? And so like watching someone that's really good at the game play Warzone, how is that any different than your friends that maybe played high school or college football watching football games, right?
Right.
You're just they're relating to that professional athlete. They're like, yeah, I'm not as good enough to make it to where this guy did, but I enjoy watching it because I know the effort that he put into it.
Right.
It's the same thing with Warzone. Like I'm not good enough to be Huskers, but I appreciate and know what he's doing, and I learn a little bit here and there from the mental side of it.
Little things, you pick up on them.
Yeah,
like the amount of times that I've watched somebody and learned a jump spot, I'm like, oh, I like your brain just puts it in the back of their head, like, and then when you get to that situation, you're like, oh, I can jump here, you know. And it's little things like that you don't, you're never going to be as good as them, but like you can go up the ranks a little bit, little by little, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all about self improvement. That's the biggest thing. So I kind of jumped over a couple questions. Whoops. Because because you had like so many at once. That was the Twitch question. Pets. Do you have any pets?
Yeah, so we have one dog. She's a like pit mix rescue dog that we got. Her name's Miley. We rescued her in 2017 after Hurricane Harvey in Houston. We saw a lot of animals get displaced after the hurricane and the flooding, and we were like, we want to rescue a dog that got displaced. So we got her in like September of 2017.
Oh, perfect. What is your all-time favorite memory of them?
Man. I mean, honestly, like getting her and building that bond with her. She was an abused dog. She came from a foster home, and the foster home pretty much told us like, hey, this is going to be a very difficult process because she was abused, so it takes a while. For the first like 2 weeks, she wanted nothing to do with us. Like I'm talking like wouldn't even, you called her, like she wouldn't come to you, and if you had food and you called her, she would like kind of like almost crawl to you because she was scared that you were going to like grab her and just like beat her, right? Because she's like, I mean, she literally has scars all over her body. So I guess like truthfully, like building that trust with her, it was a very rewarding thing, right? And I don't know, just I know now that like she has a life that's like way better than a life she would have had. Even now, like when I'm like, man, I feel like Miley doesn't get nearly as much attention since we obviously have a daughter now. You got to kind of split time.
She's a little jealous.
Like, yeah, but I mean, in general though, like even she's never locked up. Like we're home all day, so she's out and about. Yeah, she's mainly laying in her crate, but she can get out, walk around, do whatever she wants to do, and she's got a pretty cush life. And I said, man, as much as I wish that we were the dog parents going hiking and like doing all this fun stuff for her, I bet she's very grateful for the life she has now compared to the life she used to have.
Absolutely. So. And it's also one of those things where I think dogs' memories actually get cut off quicker than we do. So like they forget a lot faster. So this happy life, she might have even forgot about the pain back then, which is really good.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's well, it's one, it's an amazing thing because two, like she gets very happy with you guys. Maybe if you bring a friend or family and she's more open to like talking to them or letting them pet them or whatever it may be, and it's just an overall happier lifestyle. So that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's our biggest concern with our daughter is like how she was gonna react, but she's been great. So
did you do like the lay next to the baby and like cuddle with them kind of thing?
No, Miley doesn't like it. No, Miley doesn't like anyone to like get in her personal space. Like it's really funny. Like she's definitely like a loner to some extent. She's like one of those dogs that you'll pet them and then after a while she'll just like walk away from you. Like she's like, all right, I'm done with you. So she she's never been that way. But like I was worried that she may like try to like get aggressive with Scarlett, because Scarlett doesn't understand boundaries and stuff, being a young kid, and they don't know how to be gentle and stuff like that. But she's been really great. Scarlett gets to pet Miley, and Miley just sits there and lets her pet her, and then she'll like walk off when she's tired of Scarlett. So. Right.
What is it? Our brand new family cat, Wheezy, our first family cat actually. He's like it was almost like a little human. If you pet him for too long, he'll just kind of politely push your hand away and be like, no, I'm okay, thank you though, but I appreciate it. And it's just like, but I want to pet you. He's like, no, please, no, thank you. Like no scratching, clawing, hissing, nothing. Just no thanks, I'm okay. Yeah. And then they'll just kind of walk away. And it's like it's so weird that I've never had a cat do that before. So I'm like, dude, are you like a little human? Like what? It's so weird.
Funny.
So when it came to video games, what is your earliest memory of them? Like, so I know you talked about playing like with friends and family. Was it like the SNES? Was it GameCube, DS?
Oh no, I mean it was probably like Duck Hunt on regular Nintendo.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean I definitely remember playing that. I had the little gun and I remember shooting at the TV screen to shoot the ducks. So like that's probably regular Mario on the Nintendo. Like I played that. Then I think like more and more probably like I had friends that literally had like Sega Dreamcast, like every single platform that ever released. I had one friend that had them all, and I remember playing games on those. But then other than like Duck Hunt and like Mario and stuff like that, my parents, we grew up in I was not in a like very financially I guess we were poor. I mean, this is just the way to cut it. Like,
hey, it's in the name. Welcome.
I mean, to the point where like I remember our power getting cut off as kids because my parents didn't pay the power bill.
Right.
McDonald's would have 10 cents cheeseburgers. I mean, I'm talking like way back in the day.
Those
10-cent cheeseburgers. Yeah. And the limit was 10, but my mom would go through the drive-thru and get 10 and then send me and my sister inside to buy 10 more so that we could get 20.
Yeah, food
and then she would
week,
literally freeze them. Yeah, and then we would eat McDonald's, which knowing now you didn't have to freeze them. They probably could have sat on the counter for 4 days, but
more at that rate. Jeez.
But yeah, so she would freeze them and then she would literally like put them in the oven and reheat them because that's like the financial situation we were in. But I mean, I remember having a Game Boy and playing like the original Pokemons on the Game Boy. And then I remember my N64, and it was probably GoldenEye. I played the shit out of GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah.
I worked a summer job, and I saved up all my money. And when I was probably 14 years old, I bought my first computer. It was a Dell 1 gigahertz computer, and that's when I started gaming online. We had DSL internet. AOL had internet, and then we finally got DSL, which was considerably quicker. Right. And I would play with my friends, and I would play Counter-Strike. CS 1. CS 1.3. The original Counter-Strike, and that's when I actually got into competitive gaming. And I was in a clan, and we made it. There was a league called CAL. It was called the Cyber Athlete Amateur League. CAL was the name of it. Okay. And there was an open division that all teams could be in. And if you won your open division, you got pushed to either there was an intermediate and a main division. It really just depended. If you won your entire division in open, I think you went to main. But in general, if you're a positive record in open, they essentially stuck you in this intermediate. And then there was an invite league, and there was only 16 teams in the invite league, and those were people that won the main division.
Top of the top, yeah.
Yeah, and it was very competitive. If you were in invite and you were the bottom of the barrel, you got pushed back down to main the next year. You had to perform. It was kind of like they do in soccer. I think in Premier League or something in the UK. Essentially, if you don't perform, you get pushed down to the bottom, the next league under until you can. I think that's how
that most competitive, even esports nowadays, they have a top 16. They usually call it amateur academy or just a lower tier basically. But then you can win and come right back up and fight the next year or next season or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember like my first time we were in the Cal-O, we actually won and got into intermediate, and then we won and got into main, and then I was in the main finals to get into invite. So like I was, I mean, very competitive. Like you're only 16 teams, in the whole world were
Right,
in invite, and I was competing to get into that
The
spot.
top 16. Yeah.
Yeah, and then college kind of happened. I went to college, and when these people have like schedules to play, and I like couldn't make it because of classes and finals, and then I kind of just like stopped playing competitively and just started playing with friends, and then I just like quit gaming altogether when I got into like the military, and then when I met Aubrey, like I wasn't gaming, and then when
Right.
COVID happened, I was like, I don't like gym was my social time, and I didn't go to the gym, and I told Aubrey, I was like, I don't know what to do, like I'm losing my mind, I'm an extrovert, like I
Right.
need to communicate with people. And we started doing the Twitch streaming, and that's when one of my followers, his name was Kieran, he's from Scotland, he was like, hey, you should play COD with me. So I downloaded Call of Duty, and I started playing with him. And so like I'm a brand new account, like, and he is a 4KD controller player. It's like Dracota type player,
right.
And my first games are with him.
Right.
So like I'm just getting smoked.
SMM's through the fucking roof at that point. Yeah.
I'm like, I have no idea. I'm just getting destroyed. Like I didn't even know what a loadout was. This was my first ever Call of Duty, like, and so, he taught me a lot along the way. And then I've met some other followers, and then I've just made friends with a lot of the people in the industry, like Huskers and Dracota and Breadman and Joe Woe and those people, and I think a lot of it is because, and Savage, believe it or not, Savage actually followed me on social media because of my fitness content.
Oh, okay.
And now we talk and to each other and everything because of Twitch, but like he followed me before, like he knew who I was before I knew who he was, just because like on Instagram I have a big following, and I think that's what helped me connect with some of these people like Huskers. Like normally I don't think Huskers would respond to anyone's DMs, but I DM'd him from Instagram where I have like 80,000 followers now. And he's like, oh, this person's not just like a nobody, I guess you could say, as far as like social media goes. I think it's just like, I understand what they go through as far as like being on social media.
It's also that concept of like, are you trying to gain something talking to me? You know what I mean?
Right,
I think it happens a lot with his field of work. And it's really upsetting seeing that every day. So like when he sees somebody with a similar following, it's like, yeah, we're not trying to gain anything here. It's just, let's talk,
Right. And so like that, I built friendships with him, and like I said, Joe Woe will order cookies sometimes from Fat and Weird. It's really funny. I'll see his name pop up. I've sent cookies to some of them just from a marketing standpoint. It makes sense, because a different market, they like it. It's free cookies. I get, some exposure to people that don't normally see our cookies. So, but yeah.
So they all have codes, right? I mean, I'm assuming Coda, Huskers, does Joe and Brad have codes now too?
No, Huskers has it and Dracota has it, but Joe and Brad have never really asked for one. I always tell them, if you want a code to plug it, like you can, I'll make one for you. It's super easy to just make a 10% discount code. Yeah,
right.
So.
Yeah, that's so interesting because I feel like there's not a lot of sweets that people are sponsored by in this market. I mean, it's weird because we sit on our butts all day. But even I'm trying to think of like what some of the higher sponsorships are. It's chairs, like
G Fuel,
yeah, it's something focusing.
Ghost or G Fuel or something like that. Yeah.
There's blue light glasses, sometimes headsets and mouse and keyboards.
There's not much.
HelloFresh.
And then you have like upper tier. You have like straight up computer sponsorships.
Yes, the
like
whole
Huskers.
Computer. Yeah. But I don't
think
there's much in the food side. I know HelloFresh is by Bread or it's Bread or Frozone. Oh, it's NRG. Yeah. NRG has Hot Pockets too, I think, actually. Yeah. But like that's about it when it comes to like food. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and another reason that we wanted to start the cookie company is because our background was in fitness. A lot of our friends were already sponsored by clothing companies. They were sponsored by, supplement companies and things like that. But like no one's sponsored by a cookie company or even just affiliated with one. So we knew that we'd be able to send all of our friends that have hundreds of thousands to millions of followers our cookies, and they would talk about it because it's like not a conflict of interest on any other businesses that they're associated with. So.
It also pairs really well with fitness. Like some people think that like, oh, if I'm working out, I'm on a diet, I can't have a cookie or I can't have a sweet to enjoy myself. They get so like, I almost feel like it's our generation or our society right now. It's like, oh, either you're all in or out. Like you can't have no balance. And it's like balance is the biggest freaking thing, dude. Like you talk about was it Mondays and Fridays? A lot. Mondays and Fridays, you guys taste the cookies, right?
Mondays and Wednesdays.
Mondays and Wednesdays, my bad. But like even that, like you're fitting in your diet. You're a fucking jack dude, like you're allowed to have some fun in there. But some people are just like, oh, I can't drink alcohol. I can't have lactose. I can't have it. It's like, why not? No,
Yeah.
like I'm a big fan of following like Greg Doucette on YouTube. I'm a big fan of Jeff Nippert on the science side of things. But it's like it's interesting that like so many people are like more spews for more views, I think is what Greg's motto is. Just like with moreplates, Like they're very much like you can have balance, but look at the bullshit. Like, could you imagine the people from like Thor, Chris Hemsworth? Like it's a cartoon, but obviously there's some CGI there. He's not a perfect man. There's no way to achieve that naturally. But some people think that you can. And it's like, just take a step back. Think about it for a second. Like this dude's, I mean, he's probably 250 pounds in the newest movie. He's like 6'2", 6'3". He's fucking huge. So like, do you think it's attainable? Maybe, but you've got to have a little bit of the special sauce in there, you know?
And not just that, they have personal trainers. They have people that are cooking meals for them. They have they're probably getting their blood work monitored and then supplementing anything that they're low on, iron or calcium. You know what I mean? Like they're literally like, I mean, that's their job to look that way.
They're paid to look good. Exactly.
Yeah. And, something that we talk about all the time, which is funny that you brought up like Greg Doucette and Jeff Nippert. So Jeff Nippert is actually sponsored by PE Science, the same supplement company that I'm sponsored by. So I've met him.
Awesome.
I've met him, through like going to expos together and stuff like that. But, the thing about the fitness world is the same thing about YouTube thumbnails or whatever it is that a lot of times the fitness influencer doesn't believe what they're actually titling videos, but you have to do it to get the clicks and the views.
Yep.
So like, do I believe in cheat days? No, I don't believe in cheat days. I believe that you should just eat whatever you want to eat. And when you call something a cheat meal, it has a very negative connotation on it. You wouldn't cheat on your spouse. So you shouldn't cheat on your diet.
Right.
At the end of the day, your diet, it should be flexible enough to have a piece of pizza. Like it shouldn't be considered cheating to have a piece of pizza. In fact, if I told you you're not allowed to eat pizza, you want to eat pizza more now.
Yep.
So really the balance aspect of it is like kind of what we preach and all things in moderation. But a lot of it has to do with the fact of our world lives by these clicks and these views. Yep. So I've got to say cheat meal. I have tons of YouTube videos that say cheat meal, cheat day, stuff like that, even though I don't believe in it, because if I just said eating a pizza today, no one wants to watch that. But if I call it cheat meal day, then people want to watch it. So
they want to see what is your cheat meal. How big is it,
I know it's a hard line. Do I believe in cheat meals? No. Do I post YouTube videos that say cheat meal? Yes. So
it's the same thing with all the modern Warzone streamers. This is the best gun right now. This gun has insane stats. Look at the thumbnail. It's like all attack damage, speed, recoil control,
fastest
right?
TTK,
it's
meta,
like,
OP.
I'm sure it is, but it's also like you're also a 5+ KD player with incredible skill. You've been playing for 8 hours a day for the past 3 years. Like. A lot
and you
goes into
clipped every single bit of you killing guys that don't have plates on, so it looks like it just melted them.
It's also the best moments, so everyone thinks that you're cheating. Like I was watching Savage, and he was watching Rowdy Rogan, or Rowdy, the little 7 or 8 year old that plays, and he's like, "Oh, it's kind of snappy." I'm like, "Is it though?" I mean, like they're the best moments. Everyone in chat was like, "Oh man, this guy's got to be cheating. There's no way somebody else is playing for him." It's like. But just like take a step back. It's a highlight reel. It's supposed to be the best clips. Like if you clipped all the best stuff of mine or yours, it would look sketchy too. Like that's the whole point. So I think people just forget. Like go watch him live for an hour, then see how many times he misses. Because I'm sure that in a 10-minute video he misses maybe twice, but in a 10-hour stream he might miss 100, 300, 400 times.
Well,
like,
I've watched. If you ever watched FaZe Neo and you watch his highlights of his like sniper shots, and you're like, oh my gosh! But then you watch him like stream and he misses 90% of those shots, and then he's just going to show you the 10%. But that's social media in general. Like I've told people, which I know you have a favorite quote that you like to ask people what their favorite quote is. So can I share mine now?
Absolutely. Let me switch on over. I don't know where I have it on the list actually.
You may not have it, but I did notice that was a question that you asked people, and I have a quote that I love, and it relates to this so much. So social media is a highlight reel, and I think that the issue is that a lot of people take what they see on social media and they say that's someone's entire life, and they just fill up the rest of that person's 22 hours, because they see 2 hours and they think that's the whole thing. It's not. Yeah. And so my favorite quote is, "Comparison is the thief of joy."
Oh.
And it's my favorite quote because we all do it. And
it's like jealousy,
how much does that really, take away from your life? Like people compare their numbers on Twitch, they compare their likes, they compare their bank accounts, they compare all this stuff. And when you start doing that, you really do lose out on the joy of like, your life is good.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe it's not as good as this person's life, or at least as good as they're portraying their life to be, because you don't even know if that's what their life is.
Right.
And at the end of the day, there's always going to be someone that is better looking, has more money, is faster, is stronger, is better at a video game than you are. So quit trying to compare yourself for them and just try to create your own happiness and just be happy with what you're doing.
I feel like so many people are like, they want to have their monitor cam. They got to be on controller. I just spilt my water. Damn it. That was just perfect timing. But like everyone wants to be that person. Like, oh, I gotta be a 7 or 8 KD player. I have to hit all my amazing shots. Gotta be the best player in the game. And it's just like, I don't understand the hype of it. I don't understand why not like find something that's special for you. I don't think I would have found this whole thing if I hadn't like branched out and tried some new things. But so many people get caught up in the like what they see for 4 or 5 hours on a stream. I want to do that. I want to play video games. This guy's got 5,000 people watching him. I can do that. Anybody can do that. But it's like, think about how many hours you have to do outside of the stream. Like you have to do editing. You have to figure out thumbnails. You have to branch out on social medias. You have to try new things. You have to experiment. And people just think it's, oh, he gets to play video games for 8 hours a day. It's like, dude, there's so much. I thought it was the same thing when I was a kid. I was like, I'd love to play video games for a living. That sounds like so much fun. And then when you finally do it, you're like, this is a lot. This is an actual job. This is a lot of business and work, and it takes time and effort to learn.
Yeah, I'm probably the opposite of most people. Like a lot of people want to grow their social media following, and my wife and I are kind of like now at this point, like trying to figure out how do we slowly exit from social media, and how do we take maybe the money or things that we've learned on social media and apply them to other businesses that aren't so reliant on a social media presence and make a living that way, so that we can kind of gain our lives back, if that makes sense. It's just like there's this insane pressure to post every day, and when your likes aren't as high as they used to be, you are your own boss, so you're writing your performance reviews as you're not doing as well because your likes aren't as well. Maybe your businesses aren't doing as well as they used to do, which is compounding effects of people aren't stuck at home anymore having to order online e-commerce wise, and B, inflation is at an all-time high, so people aren't spending money nearly as much as they used to be spending.
Right.
So I think it's funny because like I see all these people like, I want to be an influencer, and I'm like, maybe you do, but I think that Aubrey and I are kind of the first generation to go full circle on influencers, and you get to see like what does that do to your mental health? What does that do to your privacy? What does that do to and what do you do when you've been an influencer for 10 years and you're no longer an influencer and you need to get a job now? Like, how does that affect you? So we're kind of like, being an influencer hasn't been around long enough to like see what the entire life cycle is of an influencer, whether that's they just kind of ride off into the sunset. Do they like re-enter the corporate America? Like, what does that look like? And I think that we're starting to see that because, Instagram isn't as strong of a platform as it used to be, as people are splitting time on TikTok. And I think that we're getting to the point now where like everyone's an influencer to some degree. And when everyone's an influencer, no one's an influencer. I told my wife the other day, I said, I think we're going to get to the point where like when you meet someone, everyone's going to have between 10 and 100,000 followers. Oh, absolutely. And it's not going to be that big of a deal anymore. Like when I say I have 80,000 followers on Instagram, people are like, that's kind of a lot. And I say my wife has 500,000 on Instagram. They're like, oh, that's a lot. But I think soon you're going to ask people like how many followers they have, and they're going to say like, 100,000. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah, you're normal.
Right. And it's also scary to think of like what, like 100,000 followers could be the new norm 20, 30, 50 years from now, Like everyone would just have
I think it's 2 to 3 years from now, truthfully.
Oh, really? What?
I think 10 to 100,000 followers on a social media platform in 2 to 3 now is going to be a norm.
Wow. See, that's scary to think about because now it's a matter of what breaks you out that far. How do you become something different? How do you find your niche? Like that's oof.
Okay, so I view it this way. When cars first came out, how many people had a car? No one.
Right, but now everyone has one.
Except for the elite. Now everyone has a car. And now some cars get you from point A to point B, and I said that the people going from point A, those are the people that are consuming content. They're not making content, they're just content consumers. But then the Camry, the regular old Corollas, the Nissan Altimas, like any regular car that you would see like anything under $30,000, like those are the people that have 10 to 20, 30,000 followers. Right. And then you will still see the Lamborghinis and the Bugattis. And those are the people with millions of followers. But at the end of the day, you're going to see something. Everyone's got something. Right. And I think
some people just post to post. Like even if they have like 3-4 Snapchat friends, they post their life, Right. And like that's just the common, it's weird,
Right.
It is weird to kind of think about.
I mean, you'll look at now, go look at TikTok and Instagram, like go look at some of the bigger accounts and look at how their views have slowly gone down. And it's because more people are trying to become influencers. So they're splitting the same audience or a smaller audience as each person is now trying to become an influencer.
Right.
And something you'll learn a lot about influencers or about people that do social media, a lot of times they don't spend a lot of time consuming content.
Nope, they just produce it.
They'll consume a little bit to maybe see what people are doing or to like find ideas. But in general, the more content they start producing, the less they're consuming. So when everyone wants to be an influencer, your audience to influence over has gotten smaller. And now it's more people trying to be it. And the way that the TikTok and Instagram algorithms are working now is they're trying to show you things you're interested in. So it means that now instead of 5 Warzone people creating content, there's 50, which means that now your views are getting split between 50 people. And I do think that I look at my friends. I have a friend. It's Nate. He has 6 million on TikTok, but his views are 50,000, sometimes 1 million. But like in general, like you have 6 million, bro, and like he's not getting 6 million views. He's not getting even 3 million views. In general, it's like somewhere.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say in general, it's like somewhere like 150 to 300,000 views. So
right. I almost feel like it's because of the social media. Like if you look at YouTube, back when YouTube first came out, there wasn't a lot of YouTubers because the concept of making 10-minute videos was very hard to do. Or if you're making like 15, 20-minute videos, people are editing, like trying to find the time to keep somebody interested for 10 minutes was so hard. But now anybody can make a 7-second clip on TikTok. Anybody can make it interesting for that long, you know? Right. And that's why I think it's so common to see like influencers all around. Instagram became just a photo, a little bit of Photoshop touch up, make the angles look good, lighting's good, you have a photo. Just make a nice caption underneath and you have a photo. Like millions of people could see it, you know? But
right.
like,
and then and then it transitioned from being more about photos to video, which took more time, and now it's about reels, which takes more time. And then people are pumping out reels like crazy because they're giving bonuses, money for it. I'm in like a bonus thing. My first couple months doing it, I made like $1,500 a month just posting reels. Right now, because so many people are doing it, I make like $200-300. So that's just another, I think you're getting to a point where the market is just going to essentially be oversaturated with quote unquote influencers.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
and it'll take a while to kind of equal it out too. Like it's the same with like capitalism. The concept of like there's only so much money that goes around. If you keep making capitalism bigger and bigger and bigger, like money has to be diversified, and then certain companies start failing because there's not enough money. And there's like the only solution to capitalism is just more freaking people and more money. And then it's like, but we're already overpopulated, and then there's issues, and it's just the whole fun of life.
Social media is definitely an interesting dynamic. I could probably go on for hours just about like the future of social media, in my opinion, which, who knows if it's true or not.
Right. So. But it's an interesting concept because not a lot of people talk about the end all be all of why it's a thing. Most people are just like, they're trying to keep up with their posts and their likes and just keep go. It's only going to be here for so long, But it's like, take a step back. How long is this going to be existing for? Nobody knows. It's cool to fun like hypothesize. Like it's the same thing with like crypto. Like, is crypto going to be our new thing when we're all in space, 100 years from now? Is that going to be the exchange
or is
of
it
currency?
tanking right now and about to go to zero?
Exactly. Who knows? Exactly. And it's like, it's a very interesting concept because I'm an Ethereum miner. I like the concept of it. It's really cool. But like, you see all these space movies, like they all have some type of currency, and it's never dollar bills. It's never a European, euro. It's just like a coin. And it's like, what the hell is the coin? It could be a crypto. I don't know. It's just cool to think about. So when it came to college, I know you said you're 35. What do you think your biggest mindset shift from college was until now? Did you learn anything spectacular you've kept all these years? Or was it a waste of time for you? Or
I don't think that it's a waste of time. I think that at the end of the day, I have a great degree to fall back on if I ever had to continue to go back to work, and it's an engineering degree. Like I think at the end of the day, it definitely just taught me to be very analytical, and I'm very detail oriented and things like that. I do think that college in general is probably a waste for a lot of people. I think there's a lot that you can do outside of college. But for me, no, I don't like regret doing that at all. It was definitely a fun experience too.
Right.
I went to UF during the Tim Tebow era and the Al Horford and Joakim Noah era. So we won 2 football and 2 basketball national championships. It was a lot of fun.
a lot of partying probably too.
Yeah, I was also, one of the reasons I joined the military is because the economy just tanked. That was 08, 09 when the economy was just like literally just tanking. So, I got to see that firsthand. Obviously, it's a different situation than what I feel like we're in now with the recession. But, Yeah, it was interesting to see that. But yeah, I don't regret doing it. I definitely learned a lot of really practical skills that I still use to this day.
Do you think it's not for everybody nowadays because of how expensive it is and how much like you get in debt, or is it just because you can learn more things outside of college?
Yeah, I just think that with the advent of social media and YouTube and stuff like that, you can learn so much outside of college. I think that the most places that require a degree just want to know that someone has the work ethic to get through it. Right. Is really what it boils down to. You know, with your generation, you are a lot different. Like you guys will like quit and not give 2 weeks notice and just like walk out of a job, which is, it's just not that it's a bad thing. Cause at the end of the day, like the company is willing to fire you and not give you any notice. Like, so why, you know, if you really think about it, you guys are like kind of like standing up for equal rights. Like, why do I need to like tell you, like, I'll tell you my vacation time. And if you say no, like I'm going to take it anyways, because like
I gave you the
you're
advance.
not going to pay, you're not going to pay me unless I have paid time off. So like, why do I even need to like, I understand like you need to prepare for this, but at the end of the day, like you don't get to tell me no, because like it's not like, this is not a barter. Like I'm going to go on this vacation. Right. And I appreciate that, because I think a lot of companies did get away with a lot.
I think it's just a nicer way to do it, you know? Like you don't have to go, like I'm still one of a 2-week notice. I'm one to talk things out in person with problems, and you know, I'm very old school, if that's what you want to call it. But the one thing that really angers me about things is the concept of like, if you have to turn in an essay, or for college or high school, right? There's a due date, right? Like let's say it's the 18th. They don't get that shit graded until like a month later. It's like, what was the point of me turning it in? You have 30 students. You couldn't take, like, would you do one paper a day? Like, no, if I have to turn all my shit in this day, I want it graded next week. Like, I'm going to hand this into you. I want this graded next week, or I'm not turning it in today. It's, I can't do that. Well, then I'm not going to fucking turn it. I'm going to go work on it for another week. Like, fuck you. Like, I just don't get it.
Give me more time if you go actually
like, if you're not going to look at it, let me keep working on it until you have to look at it, you know? So it's just like we're challenging the ideology of like why we're told stupid shit. Like, yeah, listen to your elders and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, we're not going to take shit no more. I don't know who decided that was the idea, but like, I'm standing with it. I'm not going to take no bullshit. And like, so the way that I work is very interesting, because I love my manager, my general manager. She doesn't own the store, but she's very high up. And I work with her I work 2 times a week, Friday, Saturday. I see her every single day. So I work from like 8 hours in the morning and then, you know, a couple hours at night. And like, that's it. I always see her. She's the only person that I open with. But when I have like the kids that come in, so like the 17, 18, maybe like early 20s, they're a bunch of dicks. They don't do what they're told. They lay around until they're like yelled at to do something. It's like, just get your shit done. You have to wash dishes, you take a couple of deliveries, and you go home. Like, that's it. It's not rocket science, man. Just do it and then move on. If you're asked to tell something or do something, just go do it. Who cares? It's not mommy yelling at you. It's your fucking job, dude. Like, think about it for a second. So
I think a lot of the not taking shit aspect actually does come from social media, and it's because of the idea of like other people see other people like, oh yeah, I'm not going to take that either, and then they like kind of like, it's almost like, oh, we can do this together, like we can have this attitude together. And also the same thing, like my wife is diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it's a thing that makes it difficult for women to get pregnant. Right. And so she's very openly talked about that, and I think social media has allowed people to realize like, I'm not alone when I have a miscarriage. I'm not alone when I can't get pregnant. I'm not alone when I don't, like, my job is bad for my mental health and I'm just going to quit. Right. You know, and so I think that that's a positive side of social media, is that people have learned a lot and have built communities and found commonalities with a lot of people, and they feel like they can go through a lot of their struggles and things that they're, you know, difficult times, and they're not alone going through these things. You know, when you find out like 1 in 8 women like have trouble conceiving and 1 in 4 will have a miscarriage, or maybe I got this backwards, but just, you understand that like that's a big number. And so you're not alone when you do miscarry, or when you are going through depression, or when you are having anxiety. Like, now people talk about it and you're not alone. I think a lot of the mental health and some of the physical health ailments that people had, they felt like they were weird or different, and that no one else was going through this. But now, you know, this is one of the benefits of social media, is that you have created these communities and people can openly talk about this stuff and share, and it's, I think, helped with a lot of those things. But then also, I think social media has probably created anxiety, depression, body dysmorphia,
100%
as well. So
I mean, you have to take, it's pros and cons. Everything's got them, right? Like, if you go back 100 years, think about how often you would talk with somebody with a mental health disorder. How often were men allowed to cry and talk about crying back then? It wasn't a
Yeah.
common thing. But nowadays, it's like you can see that across the world. You could talk to somebody like the fact that I could have a conversation with somebody from like Scandinavia or Norway about like mental health and like have a drink literally like with a camera on and we can like clink drinks like fake is the craziest thing to me. 100 years ago, if you had something to go, like if you're dealing with shit, you would just get drunk with your friends and not talk about it. Maybe you'd spill some like drama while you're drunk.
I think they would share it within their group, but I think that in social media now, it's just there's a bigger light shed on it. So I don't think there's more people struggling with mental health. There's just more people willing to talk about their struggles with mental health.
Yeah, it's sometimes easier to just talk into a camera. You know,
yeah, aren't just their counselor, aren't just their best friends over a beer. They're willing to be like, yeah, I struggle with depression.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I think there was a study done that you're more likely to explain the stuff that goes down in your life on a bus for some random stranger than some of the people you are closest with, which is very interesting to think about. Exactly.
You don't feel judged.
And I think it's the same thing with social media sometimes. You can just spew it out in the abyss. Like, let's say I've got 2 followers on Snapchat. I can just spew it out there. I'm actually kind of talking about it in a way, maybe whether it's a recording or I'm texting or whatever, but like not a lot of people are going to see it, you know? And I think that concept of just getting it out is the biggest thing. And some people just don't know how to get it out, you know, like so many things. We bottle up our emotions. We get scared. We worry that people are going to judge us. It's the same with the gym. Everyone goes to the gym thinking that everyone's going to judge them. It's like, dude, I'm in my own world. I'm dealing with my own demons. Like, I'm not worried about you. Like, who cares if you're doing a curling, you know, a ball, if you're curling in the squat rack, who cares? Like, yeah, I want to use that squat rack eventually, but like, I'll let you know. But like, dude, you do you, dude, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They also say that your friends are less likely to support you than complete strangers. And the reason for that is a lot of times when your friends see you improving or doing better, they feel like you're going to leave their echelon. So like
you don't
if
need
you
them
have a
anymore.
friend, yeah, like you're going to elevate yourself past where they're at and that you're not going to associate with them anymore because you've taken a step above. So it actually, even with our companies, I've found that, I mean, we had friends when we started our YouTube channel that started making fun of us, like our great friends, like really close friends, right? Started making fun of us. They started talking about us behind our backs. And to the point where one of them made a social media post, like literally calling us fake and phony, which is funny because that doesn't age well because like this is when we first started, you know, and like now obviously we've made it and we did what we, you know, set out to do. But yeah, it hurt to see people that you thought were your friends like do that to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So don't be discouraged if the people you thought were going to support you don't.
No, and I've said it since day one. I mean, I talk about it a lot on my stream where like there was a time where I was jealous of Dakota for getting big on Twitch. And like for a moment I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I jealous about a man? Like he's a best friend of mine from high school. I've known him since day one. And he's getting what he's always wanted. He's been doing this for years before me. Like, of course I should be fucking happy for him. Like, yeah, part of me's jealous, but it's like, I should be pushing, like, keep going, go for the stars. You're playing with Huskers, you're playing with Breadman. Like, these are big, famous people. I shouldn't be upset or like jealous of you. I should be saying like good shit. With you. And, well, no, not even that. It's like, dude, I mean, like, yeah, I was one of the 3 viewers when we were playing Rocket League at the beginning of the pandemic, and like nobody was there. But it's like the concept of he's fucking made it. Like, I should be proud of that. And like maybe me adapting and becoming who I'm supposed to be, or a man or a human, whatever it's supposed to be, getting older. Like, I'm understanding the other side of the coin. But like, you should be proud of your friends. Like, they're going above you. Like, yeah, I'm not worried he's gonna leave me. I mean, at the time I was, but like now it's like, good on you. Like, this is what you've been doing since day one. Like, he started streaming in the end of high school, which is over 5 years ago, and he's finally getting his footing. He's almost made this to a full-time career. Like, I should be fucking proud of that, you know? But
yeah, I think you know why you weren't? Because
I was at the bottom. Yeah.
Comparison is the thief of joy. That's why.
You are absolutely right. Well, I think it was also just like me being like self-conscious and scared. Like, I didn't find my place in the world. College wasn't going well for me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I saw him like, oh yeah, you're just playing with Huskers. You got a Huskers raid. Yeah, it's so fucking cool. Haha. You know, like, you just like, you take a step back and you realize that this is what he's been working for since day one, when there was nobody in the streams, when he was editing for hours on end. But people don't see that. They just see they got a Huskers raid. Why wasn't it me? Like, it's immediate. It's like, why didn't I get the raid? It's like, were you working as hard? Did you put in the amount of hours? Like, so many people just don't, and they don't understand that. But you're absolutely right. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's a great quote. I like that. So yeah, moving a bit forward here. Think back 5 years ago. You were 30 years old, maybe like early 30s. You just hit 30. What would you tell yourself 5 years ago?
Oh man, probably buy more real estate.
The housing market's going to shit. Bye.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that's something I wish I would have done sooner. Maybe not even 5 years ago, even just 2, 3 years ago. Is quit being so focused on your end goal that you don't enjoy the process of getting there.
Right.
Because you never know. Like at the end of the day, like I could die tomorrow or in 2 weeks or a month or whatever. And so like if you don't enjoy the journey of getting to what you're trying to achieve, like that's a pretty miserable life if you never made it there.
Right.
So make sure that you're enjoying the process along the way, and that you remember to like stay in it and stay in the moment, because I think that you really can get wrapped up with like I'm trying to get to this number, maybe I'm trying to get to this many viewers on Twitch, or I'm trying to get to this many followers on TikTok, or I'm trying to do whatever, and that you don't enjoy the process of getting there. And like I said, if you never make it to that goal, was your life a whole failure? No,
Right.
You had to have had fun along the way. So really sit back and be proud of your little achievements, and enjoy the journey.
It's there's a quote that I'm going to butcher, but it's something about we worry about the past and it controls our present. We are scared of the future for it controls our present, but we never worry about the present because we are in the present. And it's like the concept of you worry ahead, or you're worried you're not becoming the person you're supposed to be from your past, and like you get so caught up in it, you don't understand that the journey is where you're at right now. Take the day by day, because we're so much on like, what's my 9 a.m. for tomorrow? What is next week? What is look at, and just keep going and going and going. It's like, what about right now? What am I doing right now?
Yeah, anxiety is worrying about the future, and depression is worrying about the past. So if you live in the moment, you should be able to avoid both.
Exactly.
But, it's easier said than done.
Equilibrium.
It's easier said than done. I never fault anyone for any of those things, but it does take a second to like do that. And then the last thing I'll probably tell myself is perspective. You can. A lot of situations feel bad, they look bad, but you can look at them differently, and they're all of a sudden an amazing situation. I mean, I'll take this for example. My daughter waking up 4 or 5 times in the middle of the night, like that's not fun. Like going in there, having to rock her back to sleep or give her a bottle. But at the same time, one day she's not going to wake up in the middle of the night and want me anymore.
Yep.
One day she'll be gone out of this house, and living in her own home. So those little moments, as much as it sucks to like wake up in the middle of the night and lose sleep, like I should just be appreciative that like I have a daughter that loves me, and that I can, console and put back to sleep. And, I won't be able to hold her forever. And so I, cherish those little moments, even if they're not the ideal times, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like, like I want it when I want it, not when it's available. But life isn't that way. Life
no.
gives you options sometimes when you not necessarily want them. But if you think about the fact that you do want it, it's just not when you wanted it. It'll help you with your mindset. So that's something else I like to do, is like when something really bad's happened, I like to like pause for a second and just be like, how can I frame this in a way that's like not such a negative, right? So
I don't know what just happened. Oh, yo, Earth Tonight, thank you so much for the follow, dude. I have the way that my thing's set up. I need to get a third monitor because of the way that it's set up. Because it's like super clunky. Because I have the chat questions here, and then I have the stream over here, and it's like showcased over there, and it's just a whole fucking thing. But I can't see the dashboard, so it's a little clunky. But it could be worse. So we're good. Sorry, give me 1 sec here.
Yeah, you're good.
Because this whole thing is like flubbernuck now. Okay, hold on.
I know I probably bounced around your questions too much. I feel like everyone else
I think
was a better interviewer. I'm a bad interviewee.
But the sad thing is you're doing great. Where is... Oh, it's right here, right? Yeah, it's right here. Okay, found it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, Earth Tonight. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. But yeah, I just wanted to address this to chat because I always forget to do it. The whole point of the interview is to have a one-on-one. I'm not excluding or not, reading chat or whatever it may be. It's just how the interview is kind of working. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to make it flow. But I appreciate you guys, taking the time with me. Moving forward to like balance. Like how do you put all of these things together? With being, you said 3 businesses. I think 4th is on the way. You've got a kid, you've got pets, you've got a wife. Like, how do you put that all together? Like, what is it, a schedule? Is it like a way to unwind every week? Like, how do you keep yourself together?
Yes. So we have Memories Over Macros is my wife's online coaching business. She runs that business herself, and then she has like 5 coaches that work underneath her. That she essentially like clients come in and she gives them to the coaches. And that's how that works. Some people work with her directly, but a lot of them work with the coaches. And then we have Fat and Weird Cookie, which is probably the most time consuming thing that we have, because we have like 10 employees. We have this big building and doing that. And then we have Motive Brand, which is our clothing brand, which these backpacks behind here are actually our backpacks for our brand. But we do like athleisure clothing. So joggers, hoodies, leggings and sports bras for women, stuff like that. And then we have the Airbnb properties, which
That's the newest
own.
business, right?
Yeah. In February, we bought our first duplex and we renovated it in 3 weeks. And then we bought another duplex, which we have partners in that. So
right.
technically, there's 6 doors that are owned, but I own 2 of the doors in our partnership, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so that's
You too,
the other business that we have. And I guess it's a lot going on. You really have to be conscious of your time and like what you're allotting to each of your businesses. And then family life, it's just like we've kind of like started rules about like not taking work too late in the day, other than Twitch, like essentially like 5 o'clock, like works over, other than like maybe some small conversations about things, just because it did get to be very daunting at one point. Like we were working till 8 p.m. every night, and then we'd go to bed and we'd be on our phones doing stuff, and your marriage starts suffering when you're not dating each other. And so it was a conversation that we had that like, hey, we've got to draw this line. We actually schedule in an hour every week meeting just for me and my wife during working hours, so that way our kid has her nanny and we have a 1 hour of alone time to talk about business stuff and everything else, so we don't take it into the bedroom, if you will,
Right.
just so it just stays out of our family time. Because we live above the cookie facility, so it's very easy to get wrapped into working all
Every
the
single
time.
day, yeah.
Yeah, and when you have a videographer that you pay on a salary, like you need to produce content, so like he's coming into your home, so it can get very hard to delineate the difference between home life and work life.
Right.
So that's something you just have to create boundaries, and I think it's something that you just need to set boundaries and you just got to stick by them. And I think it's really hard for me because I'm a people pleaser. Like I like to like make other people happy. I'm very like a giving person. You could probably talk to Dakota, like when he came to visit, like I'm like, hey, what do you need? Like, come here, do this, here's a place to stay. Like, I try to take care of people just 'cause that's my personality. Like I would hope that if I was visiting, your city and I was here to see you, that you would take care of me too.
Right.
That's just
Same
like
way, yeah.
my personality. So it's hard, but you just got to really set those boundaries. And I think it's a hard thing for me, but I had to learn to say no to people. I had to learn to like stop doing favors, because like when you start opening that door, like everyone expects it. So you just like, hey, I'm sorry,
Right.
we don't do that.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can't do that for you. And I just like started drawing that line. And you can't put your own mental health on a back burner. And that's kind of what I learned about. I went through the ringer for the past couple of years with COVID and building this facility and a lot of weight on my shoulders. I just had to like learn that there are people around me that can trust and share those things, and that would help me out. And so, yeah, it's a lot about setting boundaries and then making sure you have a good team around you. So,
right. And so many people forget that, like when you are a people pleaser and you destroy your mental health, you can't please as many people anymore, because now that you're in the rut, no one's going to pull you out. They expect you to just be on the top of your game. And I think that setting that boundary is incredibly important. And so many people forget to do that. You know what I mean? Like they think that just keep go, business, work, and they just forget how to do the rest of their life, And that's a huge thing. I mean, I was the same way. I used to be very big about like, what do you need? What can I help you with? Whether it was like mental health, whether it was money, like whatever I can do, And so many people just like forget to rein it in and take a step back.
Yeah. And my also, I don't know if you've ever read The 5 Love Languages, which is like a book for mainly about like spouses and stuff like that. But essentially there's 5 love languages. There's affection, quality time,
Touch.
Gifts. Well, that's affection. Affection, quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, and acts of service. And my love language is acts of service. So how I show love to my friends is like to do stuff for them. And so for me, it can be very overwhelming because I'm like giving my time, which is probably like the most valuable thing that I have. And I'm like giving time, to do things for people. I go out of my way to do things for people, and then I very rarely get it reciprocated to me. So I feel like I'm dumping out of my love cup, if you will, and it's never getting filled back up.
Right.
So that's something I had to learn about too, is like start asking for help, and people will do those things for you if you need it, you know? And so because they're not just going to see it, because I can just see it like, oh, this person needs this, like I'm just going to offer it, and then they're going to accept it, and then that's my act of service, right? But I just had to start asking for the acts of service in return.
Yeah, it's also like, because when I was back in, I think it was middle school or early high school, one of my ex-girlfriends at the time was very much on the not the words of affirmation, the touch, like just any physical touch, holding hands, like a pat on the back or back scratch, whatever it was. And I didn't understand it at the time, and I was just like, oh, here we go, more, whatever. But it was also like it carried over to like the public. They always wanted to hold hands. They always wanted to be in some type of contact with me. And like I was very much like, we're in public. This is weird. Like, don't worry about it. But like as I got older, I was like, oh, that's exactly how they worked. Like that was their way of showing love and like wanting to be loved. I just didn't understand at the time. So it's very interesting that you learn things and you kind of move on and you keep them in the back of your head and
Yeah, from a marriage standpoint, the 2 books I would recommend are The 5 Love Languages and then a book called His Needs, Her Needs. And it just talks about, how we all have like basic needs, and there's not a set number. Like you may have 5 needs that need to be met for you to be filled in a relationship. Some people may have 9, 10. It doesn't matter. But the truth is, if you're not getting one of those needs met, you will try to fill it other places. And that usually leads to extramarital activities that are not great for your relationship.
Right.
So that book kind of talks about those things, and it talks about the love bank that I was just talking about, and how if you're constantly getting withdrawals from your love bank from a certain person, like think about a friend that you may not be a friend with anymore. If all of your interactions with that person were negative, eventually you're like, you have a negative feeling when you're around this person. You're like, I don't want to be friends with this person. Like all they do is like complain, and like everything is just like they're constantly withdrawing credits from a love bank and never putting it back in. Like, and you slowly, you could probably think back to some friendships about how you like slowly have separated yourself from people. And it was because like the interaction was always a negative interaction. It was always a withdrawal from they were just taking,
so they were never giving. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a scary thing.
Yeah.
For question number 10, because it was 10 for 10. Where do you want to be 10 years from now? Where do you kind of envision things?
Yeah, I mean, genuinely, I hope to be retired. My goal has always been to be retired by 40 with somewhere around $30,000 a month of passive or semi-passive income.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's where I see it. Hopefully in 10 years from now, I've got, hopefully I have a son also, a daughter and a son, and married, and I'm, I bought my freedom. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do.
And that's the biggest
thing.
A
lot of people try to accrue things to buy a Lamborghini, to buy this boat, to buy a house, to have a plane. I've always said, like, I just want to have a middle class life where like I go on a couple of vacations a year. We don't worry about the money, and like I can buy what I need to buy. I don't need flashy stuff, and I'm trying to buy my freedom. That's true.
Right. See, but some people might take that the way, because right behind you is a very flashy computer,
Yeah, which was built for cheap because it was a sponsorship. So
right. People are gonna yell at you. I'm poking at.
Yeah, I think that we all probably put money in different things. Like I have a truck that's a 2017. I mean, it's a Chevy 2500. It's a nice truck, but it's a 2017. Right. Aubrey had a 2017 Mazda CX-5, but we just got a Yukon for her. And the only reason we got a Yukon, truthfully, is just because we needed the room for the car seat. Yeah, a car seat wouldn't fit in the CX-5 anymore when you have to get the bigger car seat for Scarlett. And so, I mean, could we have gotten cheaper vehicles? Probably, but like at the end of the day, like a Yukon isn't the most expensive vehicle we could have gotten. You could have gotten Escalades and all kinds of other vehicles that are way more Cadillacs and. So like way more expensive stuff, but like, we didn't. We got what worked for us.
It's also nice to put a little bit extra money just to make it live longer or last longer, whatever it may be. And don't always cheap out on everything. Like saving money is important, right?
I mean, it's a nice car. Like, believe me, it's a very nice vehicle. But what I'm saying is, like, at the end of the day, I think that a lot of people would have, in our opportunity or in our situation, may have gone above and beyond because we financially could have, but it's just not who we are. We're not flashy people.
Yeah, and I think
other than I guess this computer. So
it was just the one thing I could pick out behind you. But it's also just like so many people forget that saving aspect. I think you finally understand it as you get older, like putting money away, retirement, and blah 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 blah. But like I think my dad's 53 or 54 now, And like, he's just now thinking about retirement, like just now putting money aside and trying to get away from it at all. But I'm like, he's been working as a mechanic since he was 16 years old. His body's done. He's had 3 hernias. Like he should have been already retired. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that we think about it more though, because the cost of housing is becoming so much larger of our portion of our income.
Right.
That, like, you have to start thinking about savings and retirement earlier, because it's not like you can just like, oh, you know what, I think I'm going to buy a house this year and then like this is going to be my forever home. Like, you got to like, you actually have to start thinking about this stuff, because it's not the same for our generation, and I think it's only going to get harder and harder. So you really do have to have this money financial conversations a lot earlier on. But I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that people want to show out for their friends, the world. You can live a much more modest lifestyle, and you definitely don't need all the things that we need in life.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yeah.
so social media has kind of amplified this idea that like, oh, I need to like live this certain lifestyle because it's normal, because comparison's the thief of joy.
Yep. Just keep bringing it back. It's a good quote. It's a really good quote. I think it's actually the best. Well, besides, I think Jesse's was like, understand that not everybody is like going to experience things the same way that you do, and like even if you are same age, same sexual orientation, same height, whatever it may be, like you'll still experience it in a different way. You might even go like completely different paths off of it. So like, yeah, going into their shoes is important, but also like understanding that everyone's different in their own way. That's good. Like make sure you understand that. For number 11, what is a life lesson that you learned the hard way? Any, it doesn't have to be a specific one, just any of them.
Oh, I mean, I think it's like what I touched on earlier, is that like your friends aren't going to support you, or not all. I wouldn't say all friends. I mean, we have friends that definitely supported us die hard day one, like weren't that way. But it's just that like, just know that like you can have a great idea that your friends are going to shoot down because they don't want to see you excel. Right. And that's a hard life lesson to learn. So
that's pretty rough though. If you could go back in time to change something, would you do it or would you leave it as it is?
You know, it's a funny, I've always said that like I wouldn't, because I like where I'm at in my life, and obviously like where I'm at in my life is like great. But at the same time, it's like, if I could be retired right now because I made a different decision, like, would I want to do that? And the answer is yes, obviously. Right. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to like, but then I guess you could get into the fact of like, would I even had my daughter, things like that. So I don't know. There's a lot of difficulty behind that, but in general, I would say like, no, I'm really happy with where I'm at. I've made great friends. And every day, knowing that maybe if I didn't choose something the day before, it didn't lead me to this. Like, hey, I mean, if I didn't message you like 5 days ago to like hit you up to play some games, like to jump in, like we wouldn't even be having this conversation, right? So it's like there's so many small things that if you changed, that like would change because this podcast may change someone's life, and so like there's just like the butterfly effect, if you will. Just like there's so many minor things that you think are not that big of a deal. A conversation that I have with someone that I don't even think is a big deal, but it may change their life forever. And I'm not like saying like, woe is me, I'm changing someone's life forever. But just like these little bitty thoughts that you maybe put in someone's head, and maybe they do something differently, and now that's like a cascading effect. I'm not right. So. Yeah,
it's also
it's hard
a lot of like
that,
good like relationships you never wanted to end, but ended on a good note. I think people like sometimes romanticize heartbreak or whatever it may be, but like sometimes just ending on a good note, like, hey, we're in different parts of our life, let's part ways. Let's see what else is out there. Maybe it was your first girlfriend or your last girlfriend or whatever it may be. Like you part ways and you find new things. You find new things about yourself. Maybe you weren't even straight. Maybe you were a whole different orientation. Maybe you found a love somewhere else. Maybe you found out you didn't ever want to be romantic with anybody. Like little things like that you think are tiny could be the giant change in your entire life. And I think
there's friends for a reason, friends for a season, and then there's friends for life, right? So there's certain friends you have for a reason, like
to learn or
maybe it's a mentorship opportunity, maybe it's because you game together, like maybe, and then you have friends for a season, maybe it's because you both are going through something similar in your life and you've built this friendship over the commonality of it. Like when I quit drinking, like I lost a lot of friends just because the only commonality we had was that we drank, and so, and then you have friends for life, those friends that you'll always be friends with, probably Drakota for you, like things like that, like you're always friends with these people and you will always be friends with them. So
right. And I like that. Yeah. Friends for a reason, friends for a season, friends for life. I wish it ended on an eason.
You have to figure it out. look it
I'll
up.
work on that. I'll work on that. For question number 13, if we learn from our mistakes, why do you think people are afraid to make them?
Because I think societal judgment, truthfully. I think that no one wants to say, oh yeah, you failed at this, or you didn't do this, or you couldn't achieve this, or whatever. So, I mean, I've recently just been really thinking a lot more about like, what would your life be like if no one was watching you, and it was just like your own happiness was the motive of your life. Like, what would your life be like? Would you? And so, like, I've started to try to live my life that way. Like, what if no one was watching me? Like, what would I wear? What kind of haircut would I have? Like, what would I listen to? What would I read? What would I do? And because I think that a lot of times, even if the smallest thing, society pressures us to do certain things, like wear certain clothes, like talk a certain way, act a certain way. Like, I mean, how many times have you seen like the weird kid and you're like, wow, what is he wearing or whatever? I think a lot of it came up. I know this is going to sound stupid, but my wife and I are watching Married at First Sight, season 11, and they're in like Baton Rouge, and there's this couple called Amelia and Bennett is this like thespian guy. He like writes plays and he acts and he's very musical, and he legitimately wears like this nightgown to bed because he's like, it's the most comfortable thing, right?
Right.
Very, and he married this girl Amelia, who is a doctor, but she's the same way, very quirky. In fact, like, she doesn't even shave her armpits, and a lot of people would be like, oh, that's gross, but like, is it? I mean, yeah, I could see how you say it's gross, but it's gross because society said it was gross.
Exactly.
Gross because in the 50s, they didn't sell enough razors to men to shave their face, that they started marketing it to women to shave other parts of their body. So like, and then I like actually really respect this. Like, they just do what they want to do, and they like find so much enjoyment out of like living their life a certain way, and they look happy. They look so happy all the time, and I don't know if they're actually happy, but they look happy. And so I think a lot of my like most recent thoughts have been about like, are you doing what you want to do because you want to do it, or are you doing what you think society wants you to do?
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, you don't get time back, and you don't get a lot of things in life back. And at the end of the day, like, I want to look back on my life and be like, man, I loved my life. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think the society thing comes in a lot of forms. I mean, it's as simple as, like shaving your face a certain way, having the same haircut as everybody else. Some people are very much against glasses because they think may look dorky. It's just the stigma that comes with them. So everyone has contacts or LASIK surgery or whatever the other surgery is. We talked about it yesterday.
PRK.
Yeah, that's what PRK. See, I didn't even know what that was until we talked about it. I thought it was just LASIK.
No, PRK, they cut the whole cornea or like flap off, and LASIK they make a cut on it.
Oh,
so like
interesting.
pilots in the military, pilots have to get PRK, not LASIK, because they can't have a flap because the G-force with flying would reopen the flap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting. See, again, you learn something every day, Yeah. But like, the concept of like having hair or whatever it may be. Like for me, I'm very much just I shave my own armpits sometimes. I just don't like having a lot of hair there, But it's also like, that's so unmanly of you. It's like, what the fuck? I chafe, dude. Like,
So I had laser hair removal on my whole body.
Oh, really?
From my neck down. Yeah.
Nice. That's actually
but I still do grow, like, there's like, you can kind of see maybe like a little bit of arm hair, maybe. I don't know. You probably can't see it in the camera, but it's like, it's been like a week. So there's like a little bit of patches of like, it's just thinner hair now, because it's not permanent. Like, you'd have to go back and get some more done. But so many people be like, when I first did it, like, you're a guy with hairless legs. Like, what are you, a stripper? Like, ooh. And dude. I was just like,
join the fun.
Yeah. I was just like, no, I just personally don't like body hair. Like, I just, like, I've never been a fan of it. I get really hot when I had body hair. Like, now I'm like a lot cooler. And so and that's one of the things I did for me. Like, I like it. I did it for me, And
the weirdest thing is just like sleeping in shorts, like, cause it's hair on hair, and it's just not a good time. Even if you think it might be, it's not a good time. How often do you get that done? Is it like once a year thing?
No, I did it back when we were in Houston. I haven't done it again. I just shave. I like kind of shave my body now, like once a week or so. Like, I'll just like touch it up, and it takes like, I don't know, probably like 30 minutes probably to like,
it's not too bad,
do it. So yeah, it's not terrible, but I just like, I don't know. I was just like, man, I don't really like body hair. Like, I just like, when it falls off you, it looks like pubes everywhere. And it's just like, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to shave my whole body, and I'm going to be a dolphin. Just like,
I feel like smooth. I would keep I don't know. Like, for me, my arm hair makes my arms look bigger, I think, is the only thing that I would keep them. But like I got thunder thighs. I don't know if I'd like to have no hair there.
Yeah, it's just me. I was just like, you know what, this is something I like to do. So I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, it's just like that's kind of like what I'm going back to. It's like the whole like, are you doing whatever you're doing for anyone else? Or are you doing it because like you really want that? And it's like
Right.
I really liked like not having hair. So
Yeah. I almost think like would you have like a better mind muscle connection because there's less hair to like see the muscle almost?
So you definitely are more defined. That's,
Right,
you know,
right.
part of the reason I did it is like you definitely look way more jacked whenever you don't have hair. But yeah, I I competed in my bodybuilding show like back in 2014. Like you had to obviously shave off all the hair and everything.
You get that
there,
nice spray
so.
tan and all
Yeah,
the fun.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. Like I said, I did it for me. So
No, it's just interesting because not a lot of people. I mean, as a man, not a lot of people
Yeah.
do that. So it's very interesting because again,
Yeah.
do things for what you want instead of what society tells us what the fuck to do. And
yeah, 'cause at the end of the day, like it's your life, man. Like
Right.
you've got to live with every decision you make, and you've got to deal with any repercussions of any of the decisions you make. So like, like I don't lift that heavy weights anymore because I was like, why am I lifting super heavy? There's a much higher chance of getting injured. And you can obviously hurt yourself, and then you won't be able to work out. And who am I showing off for? Like at the end of the day, I'm not the strongest guy. There's some guy on Instagram that's going to lift way more weights than I lift.
right,
So like,
right.
what does it matter? Like, quit trying to do it. Like, work out for you and enjoy it for you.
See,
So,
that's interesting because some people argue that hypertrophy range, the 6 to 12 or whatever it is the ideal way to train. But like some people are like, yeah, but sometimes throwing in a couple 1 to 4s is kind of nice every now and then. But it's like, is that safety compromise? Is that worse than getting a couple extra reps? Like, is it? I personally don't think it is.
I don't think it's not worth it. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a elite bodybuilder. I'm not trying to step on stage and have a certain look. I'm not trying to be a power lifter. So for me, it's not worth it. Maybe, yeah, I could have gained 1% more muscle, but it's like,
But now I'm like 20% safer. It's like, is
Yeah.
that number worth it to you? It's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I got kids to take care of, a whole business to run. So
and I
that's a
enjoy
good way to
working
think
out,
about
right?
it.
And if you hurt yourself and you don't get to work out, like you've lost that ability to do that thing that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, a week,
So.
2 weeks, sometimes even a month if it's a bad injury.
Well, if you tear a pec, like you're talking like
Years.
6+ months,
Yeah.
easily. Yeah,
that's a scary thing because you get to a weight where it's so dangerous. Like, why even bother? Like it's just
Right.
like I'm good.
Yeah.
So again, we talked about the whole balancing thing, but what's your ideal way to unwind when life goes to shit?
I think it is playing games with my friends.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
I think that like I love watching TV with my wife, like just stupid shows like Married at First Sight. Like we sit there and talk and just laugh at we laugh at their arguments because we've been in similar arguments, or we're like, wow, this is a stupid fight. We just like kind of like unwind that way. But also like gaming with friends has been, that's been something that's like a constant in my life. It's something that I did when I was like 14 years old, and I still do. And I've met great friends like Dakota and Kieran, the guy that first got me on Call of Duty. He came all the way from Scotland for a Cookie Fest. He flew all the way here for Cookie Fest and stayed a week at my house. Like, so yeah, I think that gaming is kind of that thing for me to unwind and to like hang out with my friends and kind of, even though like you get killed a bunch in sweaty lobbies, like I always, even if I get frustrated, like I always leave happy because I like hung out with my friends. So.
Right. And I think that's the coolest thing is that connection you get with people across the world. I mean, even if you thought you would never meet them, it's like just the concept of being able to play with somebody across the world is so cool. Like I think Jesse's playing with Holden Court right now, and Holden's from Hong Kong. It's like, how often do you get to say you get to play with somebody from Hong Kong that actually speaks English too? Because I know not English isn't predominantly everywhere. So, you touched on the fun quote that everyone should live by. I think that's it for me. Did you have any additional comments, thoughts, concerns, anything you wanted to like talk on?
No, I don't know if your chat had any questions about it or me in general. I know that I'm not a lot of the questions you used to have is like, Twitch, and that's people's full-time things. So Aubrey and I really, we made our full-time living on Instagram, and Twitch was a way just to further connect and develop our community. So it's been interesting. We never had to struggle with the 1 to 2 viewers. Like when we posted about it, like we had 75, 100, 300 people come in and hang out. Even when I would just post that I was going to play video games, there'd be like 8 to 10 people that would like come watch me and hang out while I play video games.
Right.
So it's weird, because I'd never had to do the Twitch grind and like post on TikTok and get people to come to my Twitch. It's like we had built a following and we just kind of like asked people to come over and hang out with us, and it worked out really well. So I'll tell people that I guess if you really want to do Twitch, you also can just build a following on Instagram or TikTok and then try to get them over. It's obviously going to be a little bit harder and won't convert as well, but yeah.
Right. I think one of the TikTokers I follow is just I think her name's Not Easy Being Wheezy. It's like I think she's like 4'6". She's very tiny, and her whole following was built off of her being small in her truck. And she's like, she couldn't reach the wheel. So like people were teaching her how to move the wheel up and down and move it towards her, move the seat around. And it was just so funny because when she brought her like 500,000 followers to Twitch, she averages like 500. And it's like, she's already partnered now. It's been like a month. And like, it was just like that. Like it's super easy to bring it all over. And obviously it's not a 1-to-1, like 500,000 only became 500, but it's like, that's enough to be big on Twitch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool how that works. And also like, if you like them for your personality, if you like the way they talk, the way they have conversations, it's very easy to do just chatting or play a video game for the first time. Like I think Post Malone played Apex on stream not too long ago, and everyone was just like, dude, this is fucking awesome, because one, he was high out of his mind, and two, he was just funny the whole time. You know, like that's like, they want that connection, you know, it's really cool.
Yeah, so, a lot of people say like, how do I grow a social media following? And I tell them there's like three or four different, like, I guess, pillars in my mind, and you need to have at least one of these pillars. And that's one, you have to be the best at whatever you're doing. There's people you'll find that have huge social media followings because they're the best, right? That's where you argue, like Huskers. He's one of the best mouse and keyboard players. That's why he has the following.
Right.
Two, you can be very informative. You brought up Jeff Nippard. He's a very informative person, does the Science Explained videos, all that stuff. Three, you can be entertaining. I mean, how many people do you follow on social media just because it's funny or it's entertaining? And then the fourth one is like one of the ones that's just like is kind of a throwaway. It's you have to be early. And so you can find people and you're like, you're not the best, you're not entertaining, and you're not educational. Like, how are you big? They were early to the platform. But I think if you find any social media influencer, they're one of those four things.
Yeah. And it's also like, if you can tie multiple things together and find your niche, I would even say like the fifth one is like finding what you are good at. Like, it doesn't have to be good skill or very smart. It could just be like, you have like 4 or 5 good things you're good at. Like when I look at Jesse in Art is War, I see somebody who went through a hard life, a lot of alcohol abuse, a lot of substance abuse, found a way to become better at it. And they also had a very good niche of being a cameraman. And it was funny because being a cameraman also found that he found Lucifer 192 as an audio man. So they're kind of like a tag team. And then they've gone through a lot of shit in their life where they can talk about it. And then you throw it on top of becoming the Bot to Better series, a very good niche thing that he learned very bad at the game and he got really good. And then you throw in like the comedic value, the entertainment value, and it's like, this is what a streamer should be. Like, this is like the full package.
So he has a lot of the portions of the pillars though. So I don't know if that's necessarily that's not a separate pillar. He's got a small portion of entertainment. And he has a small portion of knowledge and education. So like he has all those that he adds together. So you don't have to have like a full pillar of every single one of those, but you need to have some portion of those that adds up to enough to get you there. And I think that's why I tell people it's not you can't you may just go viral one day and you'll gain some followers, but to really build a community and to build a social media platform that's going to last forever, you need to be one of those four things. And early to a platform is not something to bank on. So you really need to be really good at it, really educational, or really entertainment, or a combination.
And it's also the concept of like finding just where you fall. Like for some people, if you look, just look at Warzone. How many of those streamers are above a 4 KD? How many above a 3 KD? How many play wagers every single day? But it's like, do you want to watch them over Husters or Bread or TP or Tfue? Like, all of these people might be great players, but if they have no charisma, if they have no entertaining value, if they're just a forehead cam, or if they might even have a camera, like there's no connection as a streamer. And like, that's the point of Twitch, is to stream, you know? And like,
I'll bring up a streamer that probably has the lowest amount of viewers for the amount of subs they have. And that's Testy.
Oh, absolutely.
If you know Rob, he at one point he had 12,000 subs and he was averaging. He wasn't even partnered yet.
I think
he was still an
just
affiliate.
He had
70 viewers.
He just
said partner. He just said partner. But the reason is he's insanely entertaining.
Oh yeah.
And he's very, very grateful. And when you engage with your community and you're very appreciative and grateful and you're entertaining like that, it's going to go really well for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So I just, point those things out. But
that's a perfect example. Like when I see, we had a run in with me and Balti had a run in with some guy that would like the concept of trash talk is a Call of Duty thing. Don't get me wrong. But the concept of bashing on somebody and going into their stream and harassing them while you're live is just sets the precedent of how you are as a person and a streamer. Like if I'm live, like, oh, they were stacking, they were restocking Snapchat, abusing, blah, 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 like, haha, this is my stream, I can shit talk. But like if I was to be live and go into their chat and then attack them and harass them, that's a whole different fucking playing field. Like that's where you show you as a person, and then like that. What does that show for your community? That you're all a bunch of assholes?
That goes from like shit talking to your community to bullying.
Exactly, and they make the step. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like it just doesn't set a good precedent at all. It doesn't make a good. I don't know. It's just weird. So for me, I just wouldn't want to. I don't know. Like I was founded on Modern Warfare 2. I was 9 years old when the game came out, and I was a squeaker going, "Get fucking shit on!" Like that was me. Yeah. So like obviously I've carried that over all my years. And it's mellowed down like,
I had sex with your mom as a 9-year-old. You know,
I fucked your dad. You know, so like I've kept that all these years. But it's also like I know not to hit somebody too hard because everyone deals with shit. Like if you say someone to unalive themselves, like that's a huge fucking thing, and you should be like held accountable for it. And like the concept of like, oh, I'm gonna give your dad a child that they're actually gonna love, like that's like damn, but also like it's kind of clever, you know, like there's like a charisma to it, or like a smart little, you know, it's funny. So like I think adding the comedic value, like, oh, this stack me harder daddy is our thing now, I think that's got a good comedic value, but it's also just not trying to hurt somebody. And I think that some people just try to hurt somebody with their death comms, whether it's racist, sexist, just bigotry in general. And I think that's, I don't know. It's just unfortunate. Yeah. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, for sure.
But no, that's it for me. The one question in chat was, do you even lift, bro?
Only like 3 to 4 times a week now, to be honest with you. So
like, but go back a couple years. What was your like all-time best lift for squat, bench, and dead? Do you know?
My bench is 365. My deadlift is 545, and my squat is 565, which is funny because most people deadlift more than they squat, but I'm better at squatting than deadlifting. So,
are you sumo or conventional for dead?
Conventional.
I bet you that's why.
Yeah, probably. So and I have a short torso and long femur, so it makes it very awkward to deadlift for me.
Right. Yeah. But like, if you've got a 565 squat, you've got a dumpy. Like you are a certified dumpy there. Like if you carried that over to a sumo, too, so, if you carried that over to a sumo deadlift, I feel like it'd be at least 585 maybe. But like, if you're not lifting heavy, like I completely get it. You know, no need to push that any further.
Well, that's why I actually would injure myself a lot deadlifting. I'd like pull a muscle on my trap, and a lot of it is because of my torso being so short, my femurs being so long. I'd have to like lean over the bar like, so much more.
Tense over it,
so that like my traps and everything would just get so much strain on it. So, but yeah, that's my list right there. So
because I wonder
I'll hit him with one of these right here.
Woo! And that was free.
Yeah.
No, like I would say when it comes to like. I mean, you've got your pillars. I mean, you're funny. Don't get me wrong, Brom. You're fucking attractive. Don't get like I have
Thanks,
to say.
I appreciate that.
But you've also got that the knowledge base of like running a business, like juggling life. You've got the amazing radio voice for it, and like when you put all the pillars together, I can see why people follow you. You know what I mean? Like it's also a very interesting concept of fat and weird cookies. It's different. You've found your niche. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that's the most important thing is finding your niche and then like hammering into like this is what I want to do. So like for me, I think it's the concept of PR interviewing as a streamer kind of point of view thing.
Yeah.
Because I know some people do it. But like the concept of like interviewing a streamer, like how do you balance everything? Like because people don't see that. They see you stream for 8 hours a day. You play video games and you interact with your chat. Like, but like, how much time did you put in outside? How many videos have you edited? How many thumbnails did you do? How much do you pay people to do things that you don't have time to do? Like, how do you get there? Like, it's so hard to talk about because nobody wants to talk about that because it's money. Nobody wants to talk about money.
When we started before, like Aubrey and I were working for corporate jobs. Like I worked for a chemical company as an engineer. So I was making $100,000 a year salary. And then I had like 401k match and I had bonuses and stuff. So like my all in comp was like 140. Wow. And then Aubrey was a speech language pathologist and she was making around $60,000 a year. So together we were making around $200,000 a year. And I would go into work. We had flex hours, so you could kind of work whenever you wanted to work, but you had to work 40 hours a week. So I would go into work at 5 a.m. and I would leave work at 3 p.m.
Damn, that's a long shift.
So, yeah. And so, but it was, we could work 4 10s. So I would do 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 days a week. And so I would do that Monday through Thursday. And then when I got home at like 3:30, I would like let Miley out and I would start editing YouTube videos or I would do online coaching. And we would do that until about 8 o'clock at night. I'd say like 7, 8 o'clock. We would make dinner together and then we would go to bed at like 9 o'clock. And that was my life for 3 years while we were building up our social media presence and doing all that stuff. It was working multiple, like all that stuff. And then on the weekends, it was all go get YouTube content, film educational content, like do all that stuff, and then post.
Right.
So it finally got to a point where I looked at Aubrey. I said, the only thing left to give up in my life is sleep, and I'm not ready to give that up. So we have to decide, are we going to continue to do social media, or are we going to quit our jobs? Because I can't do both. And
right.
That's when we made the jump to full time.
So do you know what obviously you were making 200 grand before. I don't know if you're comfortable saying it, but like, do you know what you make about now a year? Like compared to that 200K together?
That we make right
like
now?
Like a rough estimate. You know?
This last year, I think Aubrey and I made like $800,000.
Wow. So you're living comfortably then. Compared, I mean, that was a good leap. Like, don't get me wrong. It was probably scary at first.
Well, the first year out, we didn't make 200,000. We probably made like $100,000 combined.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I think
just been up and up slowly.
Yeah, I think we're going to see it come down because I mean, this wasn't our best year. Last year was way better.
Right.
So
that's good. That's good though. That's fucking amazing. But yeah, it's also it's not linear. It never is. It's not perfect. And there's ups and downs. But like once I would say just over that 200,000 mark when you were working before and you're doing all this now, I would say you're comfortable. I mean, you're just slowly getting there. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
You just and everything's paid off. Like we own this building, we own the home. Like we don't have any debt other than like a few car payments. But in general, it's like we carry that debt because it's a business write-off. So
right. How many cars are you guys rocking? Just the two, or do you have like
just
a
my
sports
truck
car?
and her. No, just my truck and hers. As I said, I'm not a flashy person. Never really wanted a sports car.
Right. Well, especially with gas nowadays. Whew.
Honestly, if someone's like, "Hey, do you want this? You want this $100,000 sports car or swimming pool?" I'd figure out how to get a swimming pool on our facility, like than sports car.
So have you figured out what the next step for Fat and Weird Cookies is? Is it just more cookies, or are you guys going to kind of diversify to brownies, or?
For us, it is a franchising opportunity, and so I am. That's my next big thing. And you said, what's next? We're in the middle of trying to sell the Airbnb properties.
Oh, okay.
And so the reason is we bought them at a very low amount and they're appraising for much higher and people are selling around us for a lot higher. We want to sell those and take that money and roll it into a bigger, like essentially step up into something else.
Right.
And we have some properties and stuff that we're looking at. We just got an offer. We bought our properties for $350,000 for the far left one, and we put $50,000 into it, so $400,000 all in. The other one we bought for $350,000, so we're $750,000 all in. And then my friends on the middle one by themselves, and they bought it for around $280,000. So we're all in just over $1 million, and we just got an offer for $1.85 million.
Ooh.
So we're gonna take that money and roll it into the next thing. But yeah. I'm always making moves. I know people don't like to talk about money. I don't really like to be flashy. I'm not trying to brag at all. I was lucky to get in when I got in with the housing market because it really has shot up with these last 4 or 5 months. But yeah, I guess that's just kind of one of the things that's like, once you get somewhere, you need to continually invest into yourself. You need to take the money that you earn and not buy flashy things.
Absolutely.
The reason that I have the cash to buy the Airbnb houses is because I wasn't paying myself a huge salary. It's because I don't drive I drive a nice vehicle, but I don't drive a Lamborghini. Even though we have the money to justify those things, I've always left that liquid to be able to invest into ourselves. And at the end of the day, my biggest investment is into me, Aubrey, and our companies, because, like I said, I have a goal to retire in 5 more years. So
I think one of the most interesting things, I don't know if you follow Graham Stephan or any other like money millionaire thing kind of concept, but one of the most interesting things I've learned from him is that he's well off. Like he's making $1 million a year on YouTube alone, not including investments, stocks, whatever it may be. But he still makes his own coffee. Like he makes a 20-cent cup of coffee every single day instead of going to Starbucks. I mean, you've got the money to go to Starbucks. You'd own your own freaking Starbucks for that money. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like the concept of just, I make my 20-cent coffee every day and I save the money. It's like,
well, I think that
something some people would do.
People forget that, like, okay, I'm saving $20 a day by like eating at home and making my own coffee. $20 a day is, that comes out to what, like $7,500 a year. $7,500 a year invested into the stock market, just on a 8 to 10% return, over the next 30 years, is like, we're talking millions of dollars.
Exactly.
We're talking like $1.5 million. So my thing is, how much fluff can you cut out of your life? Like, why do you want that Starbucks coffee? Let's be honest, Starbucks coffee tastes burnt. It's not even that good.
Yep.
So like, why do you want it? Is it a flex? Goes back to the society thing. Can you live a life that you get happiness out of without trying to impress society?
It's like half the size of this. This is like $5. Like, I don't understand how people can spend that shit. Like, a nice treat. Don't get me wrong. It's fun. Like a Frappuccino, it's all sugar. Haha. But like, I could not imagine spending $5 a day on that shit, or like $7. Yeah. It's probably like $7.
And it's probably terrible advice I give everyone, since I own an e-commerce brand that sells gourmet cookies that you don't need to necessarily buy. But the truth is, like, really, you need to figure out in your life where you can cut some things back, because why are you doing it? Now, at the end of the day, like, if you really want a gourmet cookie because you really enjoy it, like, get the gourmet cookie. But if like you're saying, hey, Starbucks coffee isn't that great, but I'm getting it because everyone at my work is like, oh, Starbucks, look at you, and like it's a little flex, then like, do you really need that compliment? Can you take that $5 and invest it into something else that brings you more happiness, or set yourself up for the future? So
I think one of the most interesting things is that so many people are like, I can't afford it. I don't have time for that. And then you like look at their day and it's like, you had time there. You had time there. You spend that much money on that. And then
that's another good quote. You make time for things that are important to you.
Yep.
Period.
And some people don't understand that. Like, so many people are like, oh, I just don't have time to work out. I don't have time to go for a run. It's like, you don't have 10, 30 minutes. You don't have to, you can't like get up in a half hour earlier. Like I don't know. How often were you on TikTok today? It's like, well, I was on like 30 minutes. You could have been at the gym. Like, I don't want to fucking hear. You could have been at the gym. You could have been in between sets looking at TikTok. Who cares? I'll do the same thing. I'll put myself on a timer on my workout app. I'll get 2 minutes of rest, and then I'm on Twitter or TikTok, or whatever it may be, and then as soon as it beeps, back to my set, But like, you have to find a way to mix it both and balance it. Like, that's the whole thing. Life is about balance. But so many people are black and white. They can't see the gray area. There's no middle ground for anything. And it sucks, It's like, come on, try something new. Have some fun with it, Yeah,
but, definitely.
Some people just can't do it. But that's it for me. That's all I really had planned for today. I know you've got 15 minutes to kill. Give you a little break.
I'm gonna go film a recipe video now for YouTube. And awesome. TikTok, we're making pretzels from scratch using yogurt and flour. That's it.
The yogurt's like the dough base almost, like
you mix fat-free Greek yogurt with flour and it makes a dough. You can do that with anything, by the way. I made rolls the other day with that. You can make a pizza dough crust with that, and it's a low-fat version way to do it. Adds a little bit of protein.
And with just salt on top, pretzels. It tastes like a pretzel. Like, there's no That's actually insane to me. That sounds really fun.
I'll have a TikTok or something for you by the next couple of days, and you'll be able to see it.
Like, what are your socials? So do you stream on the Bromlow Twitch account, or is it a
we stream on so everything is B Bromlow. Like, my Instagram's B Bromlow, my Twitch is B Bromlow, my TikTok's B Bromlow, and then YouTube is Brad Bromlow. Okay. Or Bradley Bromlow. It's full Bradley Bromlow. But yeah, other than that, everything's B Bromlow. So.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And I mean, check him out, guys. Follow him. He's a really cool person. I've really enjoyed interviewing him. But yeah, that's all I've got for me. Brad, thank you so much again for doing this. This is actually really, really fun.
Yeah, Dylan, I really appreciate it. I'm glad that you could have me on here, and thank you for your time as well.
Thank you so much. You have a good one, dude.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Bye. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this today. I really do appreciate it. Brad is such a cool dude. I'm going to do a quick BRB screen. I'm going to go pee. I'm going to get some more water, and then we're going to hand it off to probably some Warzone today. I'm not too sure who's playing just yet, but I will be back as soon as I can.